Now I did one from what you could call part 1 of SAO, so I thought it's only fair that I did it for part 2 too. So yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy Alicization Kirito, because I'm not gonna lie, this might be the last time you see him for a while. So we're revisiting my golden child, Sword Art Online, this time in the world of Alicization. The only arc, in my opinion, that can really box with Aincrad. Not to mention, its openings did not miss. Then again, SEO has like 0 bad ones. Now of course this is Sword Art Online, so we cannot go a full season without some kind of weirdo, and you know, you just sort of come to embrace it after this long. Just trust in my dog Kirito. But look, I'm just as eager as you guys, so cut the small talk, let's go. So we start off in this fresh new world, and it's a kid Kirito watching the other kids swing on this big ass tree. And they've been assigned to cut down this tree for, well, basically their entire lives. Now I know that sounds genuinely insane, but that's just how it is in this world. To put things into perspective, the last 2 months they've been chopping this shit, they took around like 50 hit points off of his 235,000 remaining health. Effectively, they gonna die doing this. His dead gonna take them another like 18 generations, that's 900 years. But hey, they're still happy. I always said, don't be a hero. But this is still some strain of Kirito, so you know he got the white knight gene. Anyway, this girl called Alice pulls up on them with some food. This is Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. And she's telling them to eat quickly before the food goes bad. Man, this food good as a bit. Why can't we keep it? Because the heat makes it spoil, dumbass. Alright then, all we need is ice. So yeah, in their town there's this cave they are very clearly not meant to go into, but it's there these 3 morons decide to go procure ice just to keep their lunch cold. And shit, they find an entire dragon corpse in there, so they're wondering what the hell could have possibly killed it. Now in this world, there are things called integrity knights, and they talk about them like they're your mother. They just show up the second you do anything bad, and at the same time, they protect everyone from the knights of the dark territory. But this ain't a history class, you'll just have to see. They find this blue rose sword, but it's far too heavy for Yu-Gi-Oh or Kirito to lift. And now these guys don't know which way they came in from, but they hear voices and think shit is sweet. It was not sweet, because they're looking at the dark territory head on, and even so much as stepping foot there is taboo. Now remember what I said about those integrity and dark territory knights? Well, here's your history lesson. These guys are straight to boxing, and these niggas are on dragons too. The integrity knight slumps the dark territory one, and we see him reaching out as if he's calling out for help. Alice starts walking towards him, which like I just said is taboo. She trips on a rock and barely her fingertips touch the dark territory soil. She's cooked. But there might be hope because she didn't fully cross over. Then this head appears and snipes her location before disappearing. They get back to the village and Alice is all like, look forward to lunch tomorrow. I keep warning these anime characters to stop setting up very clear flags signaling problems, bro. The next day, Kirito and Yuji are chopping the tree when an integrity knight flies over them to their hometown. And her pop's gonna hand her over, freshly tied up, like, nigga, where's your pride? Now this is a strain of Kirito, so his MC senses start tingling and he's all like, she ain't even do nothing. She just touched the ground for like half a second.
So nigga?
Damn. They ruthless. So since reasoning clearly didn't work, Kirito just straight attacks the knight, but he gets popped by some observation haki and pinned down. Yu-Gi-Oh wants to go after Alice, but his body won't let him move. His coding won't allow it. Then they carry her away while she's chained to a dragon. Damn, couldn't they at least put her on the thing? Kirito wakes up in the real world and has a tear going down his eye. It cuts to Sinon and Gungale, but as much as it pains me to say it, we do not care. This video is about Alicization. Actually, maybe I care a tiny bit, because I just wanted to show Kirito and Asuna running duos with 2 swords and Gungale. They're meant to be. Just keep in your head that Asuna's best girl chain is secured very tightly around her neck. Do not be swayed. So Sinon, Asuna and Kirito meet up and are discussing a heart rate monitor Asuna has on Kirito. This is normal narratives. This is normal. And they're talking about Kirito's new job, which is testing a new type of D-type technology, which is the Alicization world. But instead of brainwave transfer, it's soul transfer using light or some bullshit. Honestly, if I tried to explain it, I'd only confuse you. Just know it's not the same as the SAO tech, and Kirito also can't remember what happens in the world of Alicization. But Kirito can't shake the feeling that he has something he needs to do. Later, it's just Kirito and Asuna, and Kirito says he wants to explore the growing world of full dive technology in America, and asks Asuna to come along with him. He says he'll leave the deep dive technology game, and then they kiss and the series ended. Yeah, no. This is SAO. Some guy wants directions, but Kirito knows he's been following them for a while, and that guy is a member of Laughing Coffin, who are like game terrorists, I guess, for those who don't know. And this nigga Kirito tries to pull out his sword. I am weak. This is real life. There are no starburst streams. And this guy has the same poison syringe that Deathkin was using. Kirito attacks him with his umbrella, but it's not enough. He gets hit. And before we jump back into today's video, we've got to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, Raycon. You already know I watch way too much anime, and whether I'm catching up with seasonal shows, rewatching classics, or vibing to my renowned Anime Bops playlist, Raycon earbuds have officially become my go-to in that mode item. Raycon's everyday earbuds deliver premium sound quality without the "my wallet just took a final flash to the stomach" price tag. They're super comfortable, they stay in your ears even during a full shonen training arc, and with 32 hours of battery life, you can binge an entire series without ever hitting pause. Trust me, I've tested this. They also come with awareness mode, which is perfect for those times you're watching anime in public but still need to hear fine shit next to you. Quick charge, where 10 minutes gives you 90 minutes of playtime. and over 3 million customers already love Raycon, and they come with a 30-day happiness guarantee, so if you don't love them, returns are easy, you have nothing to lose. This is my personal pair of Raycon earbuds, and I think that this space colorway is the best one. Click the link in the description or head to buyraycon.com/narratives to get up to 30% off during Raycon's Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. Huge thanks to Raycon for supporting the channel. Now, let's get back to the video. Kirito wakes up in the Alicization world. I don't even know what I'm meant to be calling it, to be honest, but he's 6 years older than before, and this time he also has memories of his normal world. He arrives at the tree he was cutting down from when he was younger, and Yu-Gi-Oh is over there. However, he doesn't remember him, nor does Yu-Gi-Oh remember Kirito. Despite this, what happened to Alice still exists, but Yu-Gi-Oh's memory is only of the two of them, and Yu-Gi-Oh believes that Alice is still alive. Kirito learns of the challenge to cut down the Giga Cedar tree and wants to help, but yeah, not even he's able to do much to it. They arrive at the village and some bum is testing Kirito's gangster, so he shows him his sword skills and he's let into the church. He's staying at the church, which has this girl named Selka, who, spoiler alert, is Alice's little sister. They're back at the tree and Yu-Gi-Oh gives Kirito the blue rose sword from way back when to try and swing, and with that one strike it actually dents it, despite neither of them being able to wield it properly. The next day, after talking about Alice with Selka, she goes missing and Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito think she may have went off towards the cave from the start. Then we hear her screams and she's been tied up by goblins. Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh attack the goblins and Kirito is working them, but is low-key struggling against the boss on his own. Yu-Gi-Oh on the other hand isn't even moving. Then he decides to lock in but gets sliced in the guts. Kirito gets mad and he's on the ironclad timing and lobs the king's head clean off.
When you see me, don't blink or stare. Moab got head tap and he had to shave his hair.
Selka can't heal Yu-Gi-Oh normally and has to save him using some of her and Kirito's life force. This white knight met this nigga like 2 days ago. He always on this saving bullshit. Then he gets this feeling of Alice asking him to save her before blacking out. Kirito's object authority went up, allowing him to wield the blue rose sword, and now the tree is losing hella durability. Yu-Gi-Oh feeling helpless asks Kirito to train him with a sword, and before we know it, the sword cuts down the Giga Cedar tree. Yu-Gi-Oh gets to choose his next calling, and of course he goes with swordsman. Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh say goodbye to Selka and travels to the capital the next morning. Back in the real world, Kirito is okay, but he's in a coma-like state. And hey, I was so invested in the underworld, I deadass forgot somebody tried to take this nigga off the atlas. Suguha and Asuna tried to visit Kazuto, but they aren't allowed, and the monitoring device Asuna has said Kirito is out of range. Yui's trying to help too, but I don't even really respect her, so we're skipping this. They end up at a helipad, so this nigga Kirito probably isn't even anywhere near them, and Yui talking about some, Daddy never stopped looking for you, so you have to look for him. Yes. Let's compare the VR game to the entire fucking world. They send an email to Kayaba's assistant, and because Mr. Kikioka thinks she'll be helpful for his project, he allows her to come with her assistant to where Kirito is held. Except, this nigga is not her assistant. Nah, it's Asuna. And hey, I was not familiar with her game. She got him in like 20 fucking minutes. Now she's mad as hell, but Asuna's told that Wrath is the only place where Kirito can be treated. Back in the underworld, Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito have enrolled in the Swordcraft Academy in order to bring themselves closer to the capital. They explain that confidence directly correlates to the power, and that's why their instructor Liena is so strong. Lena? It's Lena. Kirito's training against her and loses, but she can tell that Kirito's not trying his very hardest. Lena cannot beat the first seed Volo because her mind always falters when facing him. That's why she wants Kirito to go all out before she graduates to see the extent of her power. Probably. Kirito gave a branch of the Giga Cedar to a swordsmith who turned it into a sword. However, he'll let him have it free of charge if Kirito actually swings it. And he is able to because, well, he's Kirito. The first seed catches Kirito training on a day of rest, and Kirito ends up accidentally staining his clothes with dirt. But the first C says that he won't snitch and will forgive him for training on a day of rest, but he won't forgive him for messing up his fit, so they decide to run the ones. But the rules aren't stopping short, nah, they're doing first blood instead. And when Volo asks him to choose between the two, Kirito stands on 10 toes and lets him decide. You know he stays cold. And then the boxing commences. And Kirito decides to take the attack head on, but Volo has the weight of his entire bloodline behind this attack. However, you know Kirito got his gang with him too, especially Asuna. And because of this, his shit literally goes bigger. Pause. Volo is imagining the strength of the entire Giga Cedar tree behind Kirito's attack. The impact sends both of them back and they attack once more, but it looks like they're both really about to get slammed out there. Luckily, the head of the academy stops them in time. In the end, Lena thanks Kirito for showing her his strength. Kirito had been taking care of some plans to give to Lena as thanks, but Bum 1 and Bum 2 had other ideas, and they cut them all up because, well, they're bums who are too bored to be doing anything better. Like, get a job. What sort of shit is this? This hits Kirito hard because he related to the flowers trying to grow outside of their natural habitat, and he is able to use the power of his imagination to grow them back. Lena is finally able to beat Volo and take the position of the first seat, and as a gift for graduating top of the academy, Kirito gave her the flowers. By the end, Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh both get promoted to elite disciples and get their own pages. Same way Kirito was Lena's page. Anyway, these are Ronia and Tis. Yu-Gi-Oh's getting heckled by Bum 1 and 2, so he offers to duel Bum 2. And just before Yu-Gi-Oh Loki rocks his shit, Bum 1 declares that the match was a draw. Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito are chopping up with their pages when they learn that Bum 2 has been ordering his page to do some weird shit. Kirito says that even if it's not forbidden by law, it still isn't just. A true white knight statement. Yuji and Kirito pull up on Bum 1 and 2 and they're feigning ignorance about the whole situation, saying that they only told her to give him a massage in her underwear. So yeah, not entirely normal. Laser teases in Yujio's room and is relieved to hear that Bum 1 and 2 don't plan on making things worse and have stopped. Then she goes on to say that she doesn't want to end up marrying a man like that. Long story short, she asks Yujio to win some tournament, become an aristocrat, so that can never become a possibility. And yeah, Yujio agrees, but it's sort of an empty promise. After all, his whole plan is to save Alice from the Axiom Church. The next day, Yujio and Kirito's pages are meant to arrive for lessons but are late, so Kirito leaves to find them. At the same time, Bum 2's page comes to Yujio looking for help as Tease and Riona confronted Bum 1 and 2 because they were asking Bum 2's page to do some bullshit. Yujio storms to their room and finds both of them tied up. They're about to essay these niggas under the pretext that they're punishing them as higher class nobles. As interfering would break the Taboo Index's rules, Yujio can only writhe in agony and watch as Bum 1 and 2 begin their weird behavior. I'm sure you do not need visuals, but here's a snippet. Yujio forces himself to break through the coding, stopping him from moving, bursting his right eye in the process. And then he cuts off Bum 2's arm. Now because Yujio broke the law, he's able to be punished by Bum 1. But that shit is shut down by Kirito. During their class, you already know how Kirito gets down. He removes both hands from that bitch ass nigga. Don't mind my language, he deserved that on Kiss Shot. After that, Bum 1 starts tweaking out before his life force runs out. The two girls are safe and Kirito and Yujio have committed sin against the Taboo Index, so the UAV head snipes their location just like Alice at the start. The next morning, one of the teachers restores Yujio's right eye and thanks him for what he's done before handing the two of them over to the Integrity Knight, who is Alice. But of course she doesn't remember because that would be too convenient. Tease and Riona gives them their swords back when Alice is escorting them away, and Tease promises to save Yujio one day. But hey, look how Kirito stays looking cold. Anyway, that's too much serious stuff for one video. So Kirito and Yujio are chained up in a room trying to figure out how to escape, and that's when Kirito figures snapping the chains off each other should work. They smash open the door and run out into the garden where they are met with an Integrity Knight. His name is Eldry, and his weapon of choice is a whip. They're going back and forth, it's not really important. Then Yujio remembers where he knows him from and reminds him of his past self. Because of this, the prism extends out of his head. They keep saying things of his past in order to regain his memories, and just as they're getting closer, another Integrity Knight pulls up on them. They start running away now, and a strange voice leads them to this door. And shit, they just jump right in, no questions asked. You have got to wonder where their risk analysis skills are. They transport to this library, and they find this short girl named Cardinal. In this great library is the record of the entire history of the Alicization world. When Yujio goes to have a bath, Cardinal and Kirito begin talking about how all the legends and gods in this world are fabricated and that she's literally the cardinal system of the game that's used to control the virtual world. She explains that at the start of the world, there were 4 Wrath staff who started the game, Wrath being like the company making the game anyway, and amongst them was one corrupt, unethical one, whose kids ended up forming all the nobles of the Axiom Church. Now they're the pontifex of the church and call themselves the administrator. Quinella was one of these kids, and long story short, she found out all the commands and started spamming that shit like it was the free money code motherload in the Sim 4. If you know, you know. Then she created the Taboo Index. She was about to keel over from old age. Then she found the list of every command like ever, and yeah, she basically got now. But the cardinal system stood as the only power rivaling her. After a long time being immortal, she started running out of brain space, so she put her memories in Cardinal's body. This ended up being a big mistake because Cardinal exists to fix any error, and she deemed that Quinella was an error in the game, so they just ended up fighting. However, Cardinal could not win, so she escaped to the Great Library outside the administrator's rule. Anyway, her ultimate goal is to restore the order of the underworld, so she needs Kirito's help. Cardinal gives them both a dagger that can override the Integrity Knights and Administrator's powers if they hit them. Kirito and Yujio are transported to the armory where their swords are kept, and they help themselves to some new fits. And of course, both of them got their colors lined up right in front of them. As soon as they walk out the doors, they're met with an Integrity Knight, and he pops his ult right from the jump. He shoots his bow and pierces straight through Kirito's ice wall defense. Kirito starts spinning his sword to block the attack but can't stop it fully. Then when he's knocked back, Yujio takes the chance to jump in, his own sword ability cancelling the flames and freezing the Integrity Knight. The Knight is intrigued with their attacks and is satisfied with his defeat. Then he warns them of the Integrity Knights waiting for them at the 50th floor. His last request is that he wants Kirito and Yujio to kill him before he's executed for failing to carry out Quinella's orders. He is also the same Knight that took Alice way back then.
So nigga.
However, his memory has been erased without ever doing it. Kirito urges him to remember his past and they spare him. Then they're met with these two maid kids. Kirito says he's not good with kids and delegates the task of talking to them to Yujio, but yeah, we already know you can get backdoored at any moment in the world of SAO. These two harmless kids are actually Integrity Knights and stab Kirito and Yujio, poisoning them. They bring them to the 50th floor where the second Integrity Knight, Fanatio, along with 4 other Integrity Knights wait. But suddenly, the two girls are cut and get paralyzed themselves. Turns out Kirito had used an anti-poison recital before they engaged because of his suspicions. You really can't play with old buddy, he's been in this game for too long. And while Kirito's paralysis is wearing off, Kirito's running the fade against all 5 of these niggas. But Fanatio decides nah, he's gonna run the ones versus Kirito. He uses the power of the sun's light reflecting to fire straight lasers at Kirito. And they're real life Swiss cheesing him. He has actual holes in his body. Funatio's shit talking about the nature of his ability, and because of that, when he goes to fire his killing blow, Kirito forges a mirror and reflects it back at him. This is why you gotta shut him when you aren't being spoken to, bruh. And the attack then reveals Funatio's true identity, which is a woman. And now she feels like Kirito won't fight her seriously because he knows this. However, his hands are rated E for everyone. After all, he's boxed with Asuna plenty of times. He knows them women stay strapped, pause, and they're fully moving out there. I could tell you box for the love of the game. No man has ever tried to slash my detestable face on the gang. Shawty, you know damn well you are bad as hell. You even got lipstick on. But these hands are for everyone. And then Funatio pops her ult. But that shit's basically a nuke. She's actually hurting herself too. Kirito runs in to stop her, and then Yu-Gi-Oh got the perfect timing with his ultimate. He freezes everyone over. But it's not enough to stop her. And look how Kirito walks in front of him. He stays too clean. He talking about some, I have to save her. And this is where we get to see Kirito's real steez, his very own ultimate. He cancels her shit out with his dark vines, but he collapses right after. Yu-Gi-Oh transfers some of his life energy to Kirito, allowing him to wake back up. Then Kirito calls out for anyone to help Funatio, who's about to sleep forever, but nobody helps. So he uses the dagger Cardinal gave him to save Funatio. He just can't stand letting the bad bitch be in pain. And Cardinal gives them potions to restore their wounds whilst treating Funatio. They arrive at the lift expecting danger, but there's only one girl who asks them which floor they'd like to visit. She doesn't seem to care that they're actually fugitives and says her only job is to man the lift. This whole time she's been the one controlling it for 107 years, and shit, she even forgot her own name. They arrived at the top and see Alice in the garden, and she doesn't even waste time popping her ultimate. She has that shit on passively. Then she's like, you dead ass thought you were beating me without drawing your sword? Aye, my fault to it. Let's do it. Right from the jump, Alice has that constant press, and she says Kirito's only the second nigga to last this long against her. She attacks and Kirito deflects her sword, then Yu-Gi-Oh freezes them both over, intending to stab her with the Cardinal sword and restore her memories. But that shit does not work. As a last resort, Kirito uses his enhanced armament and clashes with Alice. But before Yu-Gi-Oh can land, the church walls break apart and they fall out into the sky. Since the church walls passively restore themselves, Yu-Gi-Oh separated off by them. Now, remember when I told you to keep in mind that Asuna's chain is still tightly secured at Best Girl? This is where I need you guys to really remember, because I ain't even gonna lie, I almost got bewitched. So, Kirito's hanging off the edge and is holding Alice up, and she's telling him to let go, in which he responds by calling her an idiot. Now she's got this stupid ass face saying, I'm not a dumbass. He lifts Alice up to latch onto the seams in the walls, and when he ends up falling, she returns the favor by saving him. Kirito forms these metal wedges to slowly climb up, but Alice feels like she can't do it. They look up after Alice hands them some rods, and the gargoyle-like statues above them begin taking shape and attacking them. They're the same ones from the Dark Territory, and Kirito's really out here boxing while standing on the tiny rod. He flings her upwards to the platform and she does the same angrily. They both defeat the monsters and Kirito has some minion blood in his face. He's about to wipe it with his sleeve like a real nigga, but Alice gives him a handkerchief and demands he gives it back to her, washed, before she eventually kills him. At the same time, Yu-Gi-Oh enters a room in the tower and is met by an Integrity Knight in a bathhouse. This knight's name is Berkuli, and I'm not gonna lie, you can already tell this guy got mad alright. Berkuli asks if Funatio is alive, and when he finds out she is, he says he won't fully end Yu-Gi-Oh's life. This is some Escanor level confidence. Berkuli states his name, and Yu-Gi-Oh realizes that he's the legendary hero that killed the white dragon in his hometown. Berkuli's first attack almost takes Yu-Gi-Oh off the map, and he has the ability to attack into the future. Yu-Gi-Oh uses his enhanced armament and attacks Berkuli, but it was a good old bait and switch. He spares him to the water and freezes him over with his ability. This was a real slimy move, but he knew what had to be done. I got to respect it. Yu-Gi-Oh stuck in the ice too. Then he releases his enhanced armament's second phase. The blue rose absorbs the life of whoever is caught in its ice. He begins to inform Berkuli of his past, and Berkuli seems to agree he couldn't tolerate the story of him being a knight summoned from the heavens. Then, this glob dives into the room, who I'm very tempted to call bum number 3, but he's actually the Prime Senator. He reveals that he knows Berkuli was holding back against Yu-Gi-Oh and that it counts as treason because he didn't defend the Pontifex. But yeah, the Senator has the ability to just straight up petrify people and turn them into stone. The whole time this is happening, Kirito and Alice are sharing steam bones waiting for the sun to come up, like nigga go and help. But it's here he lets slip that Alice actually has a younger sister. Then she presses him for more information and he tells her about her past. After recalling things Berkuli had said to, she agrees to reject the Pontifex. And because of this, the barrier to objecting the church begins in her eye. And we know how this shit ends. Her shit just bursts. Yu-Gi-Oh wakes up and finds himself next to the Pontifex Quinella. Cardinal warns him to run, but he's just looking at her like a dumbass. Then she wakes up and she gets straight to the gaslighting. She's saying he got no friends, his pops don't love him, and his best friend took his main squeeze right in front of him. Now that I'm thinking of it, this is just like Kakashi Obito and Rin. Anyway, Yu-Gi-Oh gets successfully gaslit and now Quinella is offering up the yams for him to join her. And shit, he got no defense. He starts reciting the command to become an Integrity Knight on the spot. Kirito carries Alice all the way up to the 95th floor, and he uses an ability to locate Yu-Gi-Oh and figure out he's below him. They find Berkuli turned to stone, and Alice is crying and shit. Berkuli opens his eyes and congratulated Alice on breaking the curse before giving the drop on Yu-Gi-Oh's location. In the ice, Kirito finds Yu-Gi-Oh's sword, and Alice comments that for some reason 2 swords suits him. Does she know? But Kirito ends up saying it would be a wild idea. So now they pull up to the senator's room, and these floating faces are doing some weird shit slurping down food. Then they see the prime senator Chudelkin. They start shaking him down, but Chudelkin is a dog. So he starts laughing about how younger Alice was begging to keep her memories. Alice gets tired of it and stabs him, but he just pops like a balloon before running away. They can't see him anymore, but floating down from the roof is Yu-Gi-Oh, and I ain't gonna lie, his fit is clean. His fit is clean. Now of course Yu-Gi-Oh has no recollection of Kirito and uses some special power to take his sword straight back from him. And Kirito declares he's not ready to lose to his student just yet. After all, he taught Yu-Gi-Oh all the shit he knows. After they exchange a couple of strikes, Kirito shows Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit of his bag with his new move. He knocks Yu-Gi-Oh's sword out of his hands and is about to follow up, but Yu-Gi-Oh forces Kirito back with some magic attack. Alice asks if she should step in, and she must not know who this nigga is. Kazuto never Duck of Fate Kirigaya has defeated Fiar God before, and this is no exception. And now Kirito is walking Yu-Gi-Oh down while telling him his every memory. And when he sees his fine shit Alice, his little memory prism comes out of his head. But then he starts smiling and pops his ult, freezing both of them over before floating back up on some cool shit. Yu-Gi-Oh comes back to the Pontifex, and this nigga under 2000% Snow Bunny mind control. It is over. His ass is in an Emma ult. The Pontifex wants to resynthesize him, but suddenly Yu-Gi-Oh fixes up and strikes Quinella with the dagger that Cardinal gave him. But she reflects it. She now has the ability to ignore any metal object damaging her. And I'm not even gonna lie, I don't even know why she got no clothes on. Quinella rage baits Yu-Gi-Oh by telling him how the senators were doing Kid Alice, and he attacks, but she blocks it with her barrier. The senator climbs up after, but so do Alice and Kirito. And they all smiling and happy and shit, like this shit is sweet. My nigga, you guys have to fight a literal god in a smooth 15 seconds. But yeah, now the trio is back together. Chudelkin is tasked with taking them out, and he wants to be rewarded with a 1 day of that good with the Pontifex. And shit, that's all he needed to hear. He starts going hard and forms an entire genie to box with them. And Alice is all like, oh, I had no idea he had such power. Oh, we know. But this guy got the opportunity of a lifetime. This is just human nature. Now, I'm not even gonna front. They packed this guy in like literally 2 minutes. It was kind of sorry. So let's just skip to the good shit. Oh, actually, Kirito's fit does change to his OG Ironclad one, and Chudelkin just gets straight kebab. Hey, look how she just flings Chudelkin's body after I'm dead. They yapping for like 50 minutes, but we do not care. This video is about Kirito, and you just these. And Alice, sort of. Anyway, Quinella makes a sword golem using perfect weapon control on like 30 weapons. It begins attacking, and Yu-Gi-Oh's shell shocked, so Alice blocks it. But she can't block the next one and gets the Chudelkin treatment. Kirito tries right after, and then he gets the Alice treatment. Hey, slow down, this is not how it's meant to go. You're messing up my goat's brand. Charlotte, Cardinal's pet spider, gave Yu-Gi-Oh advice to stab the throat with the dagger that he got. And then, her intel book sacrifices its life to distract the sword golem. For some reason, this was sadder than it needed to be. The spider was literally present for like 40 seconds of runtime. But then Cardinal comes to the door Yu-Gi-Oh made and one taps the golem, and then she starts rezzing everybody. She just showed that there are really levels to this game. Quinella seals off any escape using her powers, and all of a sudden the sword golem is back. She reveals it's made up of over 300 humans. Oh nah, she's sick. And she's talking about she needs 40,000 human souls for her next prototype. Cardinal offers her life to Quinella in return for keeping these 3 safe, and Quinella accepts, swearing on her own life. She's going ham on Cardinal, loving every moment. She's even whipping her with black lightning. And Mr. White Knight can't stand this, but he's powerless to actually fight back. So yeah, with that, Cardinal gets packed. Yu-Gi-Oh begins his final command with the help of Cardinal by absorbing his sword in Alice's brain memory thingy to create his own version of the sword golem. And he's keeping up with the sword golem too. We then see Cardinal wish Kirito well and turn to dust. Yu-Gi-Oh's sword form attacks and crushes the core of the sword puppet, and now he's facing Quinella head on, but their second clash leads to Yu-Gi-Oh breaking, although he did cut off Quinella's arm. And while split in half, he transforms back to his usual state, still split in half. And Kirito is dejected, looking at Yu-Gi-Oh's body. And Quinella transforms her cut off arm into a sword, but Kirito doesn't have the will to fight anymore, and as he's about to let her defeat him, Alice jumps in the way, a sight that he's all too familiar with. This time, his body won't let him make the same mistake, and he blocks Quinella's attack. Alice is worn now, and she goes unconscious. Now it's good old fisticuffs. Kirito is running the ones one more time, so you know he has to put on the OG fit. After all, the situation isn't too different to the last time. Kirito's Ironclad skills aren't even working either, as there's nothing in the world that Quinella doesn't know. She even uses Asuna's own attack against Kirito, her follow-up being one of Klein's moves. Yu-Gi-Oh calls out to Kirito who's getting worked, and they both remember that they actually knew each other the whole time. And the way they're approaching each other, I deadass thought they were about to kiss, no funny shit. Yu-Gi-Oh transfers his remaining life force into his sword, creating the Blood Rose Sword, and Yu-Gi-Oh closes his eyes for the final time. And I know it's sad, but we're gonna have to change the tempo. Kirito got 2 swords now, and 2-sword Kirito has never dropped a round in his life. Okay, maybe 1 round. And Kirito's actually pushing Quinella back now. Kirito lunges at her and they both trade arms, but Kirito got 2 swords and he gets her right in the chest. Quinella's on her last legs and runs away vowing to meet Kirito again, even in the real world, and Kirito's too weak to follow her up. But Quinella forgot one thing. Sort of thing a nigga with nothing to lose can do. Yes, the Prime Senator is alive and kicking, and jumps on Quinella asking her to be taken too. Except this, he just bursts into flames, killing them both. We get the shot of Quinella looking down in the underworld, and I don't know, for a fraction of a second, actually Loki had me feeling bad. Kirito walks over to the dying Yu-Gi-Oh and his attempts of healing him are futile. Yu-Gi-Oh musters up the strength to speak and tells Kirito to stay cool. Damn, he decided better this way, as he still wanted to bring Alice's memories back to her, but Kirito wanted the new Alice to live happily. Kirito pleads with Yu-Gi-Oh to at least fight him to the side, but he doesn't have the strength. Cuts back to a memory of Yu-Gi-Oh's birthday present given to him by Alice and Kirito. The memory of Alice and Yu-Gi-Oh will be going separate from Kirito, but they'll live on forever in him. Yu-Gi-Oh asks Kirito if he's still there, and imagines himself looking up the night sky at the bottom of the Giga Cedar tree, before telling Kirito to name his sword the Night Sky Blade, and with that, Yu-Gi-Oh turns to dust. Now, I know myself, I'm not doing this scene any justice, so I urge you to watch it for yourself. This shit almost made me cry. But we're not done yet. Kirito is able to contact the outside world with the laptop Quinella created, and for some reason, the rat center he's holding is getting raided by like actual military police. Yo, what the fuck? Kikuoka is under pressure and asks Kirito to deliver Alice to the world's end altar. The military guys sever Kirito's real life power supply and he sees Asuna floating towards him. Sorry for the narration of the last fight too, but Quinella is literally naked for like 80% of it, so I can't even show it properly. But hey, there are no bear pontifexes in the next season, so we should be good. So last thing we saw was Kirito on his usual saving the world shit, but just before the season ended, his brain gets deep fried because someone on the outside pulled the plug on him. In the underworld, Alice is tending to Kirito, who has unfortunately become a vegetable. He won't even speak, he doesn't have that twinkle in his eyes anymore. This shit can bring a nigga to tears, man. Alice is wheeling him out the crib, but Kirito still wants to keep those twin blades on his hip. He won't forget his roots. That's a real nigga right there. And he even takes the blue rose sword that belongs to Yu-Gi-Oh with him too. RIP to the kid. Quinella. It goes back to the time Kirito defeated Quinella and shows how Briculi had to step up to take over the Axiom Church with Quinella gone. Alice carries Kirito back to their original village, but since she's technically a criminal, her own pop shuts her down. Lame ass dude. Limited to some code. You gotta break them chains, my boy. Anyway, this means Alice has to live on the outskirts of the village with her little sister helping her from time to time. For now though, she makes her bread by cutting down trees for this freaky looking guy. She asks Kirito to lend her his sword and he sort of agrees, and then you have the usual nerd emoji fodder talking about some she can't cut down. Aye. Back it in. You don't know she has that swaz there. This is the same girl that nearly made me switch up on Asuna. Do not play. So Kirito falls onto the ground and it's because these nerds took Yu-Gi-Oh's sword and are playing around with it. So you know Alice has got to press them. Just check that screw face. But they're saying that Kirito let them take it. What part of this makes you think that he let you? And then they have the nerve to stand there all stank faced like she's in the wrong. Is this nigga serious? Night comes and LG pulls up on Alice begging her to come back to the Knights, but she's not really trying to do all that. Then LG starts talking crazy about Kirito, saying he's gonna have to take him off the map. Boy, I wish you would try it. This is what you call a duck. He waited till Kirito fell off to run the fade. That's shameless. Again, Alice won't let Kirito slander slide. Rightfully so, and LG leaves. Alice is sleeping next to Kirito and she low-key too close to this married man, but hey, we move. Then Kirito must have smelt the danger or something because his body starts tweaking out. Next thing you know, Alice goes outside and the village is on fire. I'm sure I don't have to tell you by now, Kirito's main character genetics are probably the highest tier I've ever seen, and it doesn't stop because he can't think properly anymore. Nah. This nigga sensed danger and real life got his body to move towards his sword so that he can be on his white knight shit again. There are levels to this game. There are levels. Unfortunately though, Kirito's not able to do all that and Alice heads out in his place to save the village of morons who were hating on her. She's better than me. She's telling everyone to evacuate, but this greedy pig is telling everyone to hold it down to save his mansion, knowing damn well that they will in fact get baptized if they try that. So Alice has to take off her cloak and show the 24-carat real gold bust down suit she got on. This is her way of saying, your money and my money ain't the same, little nigga. So yeah, they all listen to her, totally not because she made the orders as integrity night. And peep how her pops gets the glazing. Where is your shame? Just 10 seconds ago you were on her Deasley. Goblins and orcs invade, but Alice's dragon wants to get in on the aura farming and vaporizes them with his dragon pulse. He out there taking notes from Dragonite. But Alice has to one up the dragon and takes off her eye patch, revealing her now healed eye. Then she pops that ultimate, turning her sword into millions of flowers, forcing all of the mobs back. Alice decides to leave the village with Kirito in order to fight once again, and then it cuts to the real world. The current situation is the place Kirito is in, the underworld at, is simultaneously being attacked by real life special ops. I honestly forgot how much random BS be happening in this anime. They talk about these guys are about to blow open the control room and extract out Alice's AI from the underworld. And I'm here thinking they did not got to be doing all that when we have today's sponsor Polybuzz right here. Get started today through the link in my description. They unlock all the premium features today. This app allows you to jump into the minds of real or fictional characters and have real life conversations with them. There's no need for blowing up control rooms. I mean, just check this conversation I had with Alice. She's got to understand that Asuna's still top dog in the Kirito camp, so she got a ways to go before she reaches the top. I don't think she's taking it too well though. And you know, I've been missing my day one Kirito ever since his brain got turned to mush, so I roll back the years by talking to him too. I customized both the Alice and Kirito characters, so make sure to interact with them, or if you'd like, you can even create your own. And I'm sure you guys know how I feel about Sinon, she's no exception. Matter of fact, you could even get group chats in this, so I might as well talk to the whole gang. Make sure to use code narrative in the search bar for a free trial, it really helps me out. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe this is how they were talking to Yui that whole time. So the plan is for these guys to get to Alice's Fluct-like cube from the sub-control room before those guys get to it from the main control room. And somehow, this whole operation relies on Kirito getting Alice to the World's End altar so she can actually be removed. Yes, even in a coma-like state, Kirito is still carrying this group of bums. Anyway, the reason Kirito is how he is because he lost the part of his Fluct-like that basically gives him emotion and personality that can only be provoked by strong emotions being felt. Long story short, he's gonna need something big to reignite his flame. So this is the villain of this story, and he be on the game too playing Gungale, and this somehow translates into real life military level skill. Hey, then again, Kirito be on some BS too in real life because he roleplayed as a hero of justice, so hey, what do I know? He has no real motivation for taking part in this mission. It's honestly purely just for the love of the game. In present time, he and his crew have taken over the main control room and are trying to penetrate the sub-control room that all the Wrath guys are in, but that's proven difficult. This tech guy, his cut is insane by the way, is trying to get them into the game so they can get Alice from the inside. But since starting off as a normal guy like Kirito in the beginning would take too long, they managed to access high-level players' accounts, but those are the characters that are situated inside the dark territory. You know on 2K when you need to drop somebody off and you have to spin back on your best build rather than creating a new brown shirt at 60 overall? That's basically what it is. That's lessons with narratives. The other team has the same idea, though this is for Asuna to use. Back in the underworld, the Dark Territory generals have realized the Pontifex is no longer around. Naturally, you think this is the time to attack, but this guy is actually reasonable and wants to prioritize peace. Unfortunately for him though, the real leader of the Dark Territory just logged into this bitch, and he wastes no time. They call a meeting because the king is back, and the in-place leader asks what he plans for the future, and this nigga is talking about death, war, suffering, plague. Yo! Who is this nigga? The Dark Territory King is about to sleep for the first night, and this fine should walk up in there talking about how she's going to tend to him for the night. Might I add, this woman is married. I just know he was licking his lips in excitement, but it wasn't all sweet because she tries to pack him up for the greater good. Though, once again, unfortunately, the man she's dealing with is sick in the head and chokes her out. And no, this was not part of no After Dark wrestling. He really did that shit. It cuts to a flashback of him with a child with a screwdriver in this little girl's ear. Something he did because he wanted to figure out where the human souls were. Yes, he exterminated this innocent girl who was low-key messing with him too. You know, just as a move. You're weird. Buddy? His buddy ends up like, I don't know, eating the little girl's soul, and ever since then, he's been trying to replicate the feeling. And then it happens with this girl, and yeah, I don't know, that shit must taste like freshly baked cinnamon rolls because Peter's reaction, he's hooked on it. And I guess now he has even more motivation to taste Alice's soul. Gabriel holds another meeting and brandishes the girl who tried to slime his head just as a point. And her husband is right there too. And yeah, he couldn't just stand for this and starts acting out. The window starts shattering, he gets lightning visual effects, he even gets his whole Broly transformation. So tell me why he's suddenly engulfed in darkness and then he real life disappears from the planet. Yeah, you guys all got the right reaction. What type of shit is this? Back where the light actually shines, the army and Integrity Knights are preparing for the worst with a potential war on the horizon. And since Kirito is low-key packing up Integrity Knights left and right, and also the Pontifex left, their ranks have greatly decreased. That's when Berkuli shows up and he looks ready to slime Kirito. But even if he is her master, Alice is prepared to throw down. Berkuli attacks Kirito with some hidden trick, and apparently Kirito is able to defend it through sheer willpower alone. Yeah, my dog will never change, he's built for this. Turns out Berkuli was just pretending to not like Kirito, and he reassures Alice that he will be back when they need him most. Alice is alone with Kirito and she's holding back her true feelings and feels that maybe if she let them out, Kirito will come back. Hey, she gotta chill, he's married. Luckily, that stops short when Tease and Roni, Kirito and Yujio's former page, show up outside her tent. They ask if she's seen a black-haired guy, and that's when Alice says yes, and they start getting all excited because Yujio might be there too. But this life shit gets tragic, so she allows them to see for themselves. And yeah man, this almost brought a tear to my eye because Yujio, who's promised to marry Tej, is dead, and even Kirito is non-responsive. They're all preparing for the war council, and Fanatio's there too. though this time she's embracing all of her badness after Kirito defeated her. There they decide a plan to hold off the enemy attacks with Alice as the focal point. Tease and Roni are given the responsibility to protect Kirito, and then they set out for war. The Dark Territory troops begin their attack, and the Knights respond in kind with the Flame Bow Integrity Knight shooting out straight flamethrowers, and Fanatio with the laser beams. Though that bum LG isn't doing so hot on his side, his heart don't beat like that. LG is meant to be in front of the other Integrity Knight Renly, but that one has disappeared from the battlefield, so right now they're getting walked down to hell. Back on the front line, whatever mob this is meant to be, I don't know, like an ogre or something. Anyway, their leader can't stand for the disrespect of getting punked on this badly, so he starts bugging. Like, literally his core is shaking. He even gets the red eye that Yuji and Alice got. They got him attacking his own men before jumping right at Fanatio. Somehow, his glitching affects her and she can't move out the way. She starts hoping and begging for her man Berkuli to save her. But it's not Berkuli that comes, it's one of her side Integrity Knights. And hey, I was gonna start disrespecting this no-name, but she was low-key cold as hell in this exchange. She really held it down because just about every tendon in her snapped. Like, damn, how do you get hit so bad both your Achilles tear? And I know you're not Kevin Durant, you are not coming back from this shit. After that attack and repelling the leader, she just straight up like dies. But at least it motivates Fanatio to use her power fully to cut this guy clean into. That's beautiful. Now Dusseldorf got his own boss fight. The goblin leader waits for him to run out of arrows before he attacks. Little does he know Dusseldorf got a deep bag and can still box with a sword. Sort of, you know. He gets held down by two goblins and has to be saved by one of his men. The goblin leader swats him away and is about to finish him off, but Dusseldorf adapts like he's Isagi and uses his sword as a bow. And this shit ends up letting off a whole pack of punch flamethrower. One shot on the goblin leader. These guys are low-key bums now that I'm thinking about it. Like, look! This is the Integrity Knight that disappeared from the battlefield. All now, I thought he was cold but a little unruly. No, he's just a real-life bum that's hiding from the fight. Tease and Roni catch him hiding in there, and he really doesn't have an excuse because these two are just too pure-hearted and don't judge. A goblin finds them though, and he's trying to get down to business. You know how them goblins be. And this is where we get a flashback of Renly when he accidentally killed his friend during a training session. And this messed up his ability to fight ever since. But he sees the vegetable-eyed Kirito tensing up because he wants to defend them so badly, and this makes him realize that he has no right to stand there if he calls himself a knight. So he pulls out his weapon and slices the goblin's brain off. He keeps up that momentum by running outside and slamming all the goblins. Hey, I do not know what type of weapon that is, but he is really cold with it. The mountain goblin leader shows up and originally stops his attack, but then he pops his ult making this fidget spinner, and yeah, he sauced on him. He ain't even got a drop of blood in his fit. This one dark mage sends her minion horde to attack, but Berkuli is standing on that side, so I don't really have to say too much. She decides to send the troops on foot to send the barrage of projectiles onto them. However, the spells won't activate as they have no life matter to consume due to Alice taking all of it already. She consumes and fires all the life energy of the dead on the battlefield into one singular attack, and she honestly looks sad when she's about to do this too. Just look at the aftermath. If anything, she looks like the villain here. Now, the dark mage is reporting back to Emperor Vecta, and she says that they don't have enough dead people on the battlefield to generate attacks, so he's like, oh word? How much firepower do we get if we slime all of these niggas? And the mage is getting all hot and fuzzy because of this. These are your allies. The orc leader doesn't want any part of it, but unfortunately, it ain't even really his choice. In this time, Alice also decides that she'll head to the World's End altar by herself, but Berkuli tells her to bring some backup. The dark mages sacrifice 3,000 of the orcs, and their leader has no choice but to idly watch. But because of this, they spawn in something right from a Dark Souls game, and is coming straight for Alice and her escort. They try to lead it elsewhere, but one of the waves continues past them, and that's where LG shows up late and flies straight up in an effort to lead it away. Now, this must be his attempt at regaining some aura points. I'm not too surprised. It low-key worked. He calls on his sword, which is the king of serpents, and demands it to show these worms who's really the king of slithery animals. They're going right at it, boxing in the sky, but he's just too greatly outnumbered. They eat away at him until his life force drops to 0, but his job isn't done. Nah. He goes into overdrive and his health is currently heading into minuses, and when he's finally far enough away, he's blown up. His body floats down while cut in half, then Alice catches him, but by then it's already too late, I'm not gonna lie. He's already seeing bright lights and visions of his mother. Long story short, it's over. Alice grieves, but this only turns out more. She goes straight for her attackers and starts turning people into statistics. Emperor Vecta sees Alice and starts getting a hard on for her soul, so he begins ordering his remaining troops to move in pursuit of her. Alice and Berkuli are about to be intercepted by the Dark Territory's pugilists, but another Integrity Knight steps up to ward them off, and honestly, this fight has two of my favorite characters from this arc in it, so you're really gonna know it's gonna be some heat. So the pugilist leader sends one of his fighters to fight her, and she almost seems, disrespected that he'd only send one person. Lady Shaita is attacked by the pugilist girl, and she blocks, or so we thought, because what on earth is this? She sliced through that bitch like jelly. Then Shaita skips right past the leader and starts mixing up his men. I mean, just look at that sauce. They're not boxing with her. Though their leader can't just stand there, so he throws a flame haymaker. And Shaita tries to block her arm, but this was low-key disrespectful. She must think that they're sweet, and he blows her armor off. She tries cutting with her sword, but she isn't able to penetrate his tough skin. Then she weaves the follow-up. He looks around to all his homeboys and realizes during her mixtape she wasn't even really going all out because she didn't even kill anyone. Now, if you don't know, the word pugilist is fancy for boxer. So you know my boy had to start emoting just to show a little bit of his steez. Check him out. He's out here shadow boxing. Look at the footwork. Into the flash step. Oh nah. You got it. I don't want to call him he or him the whole time, but I can't really remember them calling him anything but champion, so I guess we're going with that. Champ rushes at her fist first, but this whole time this was a feint. He really went for this calf kick. Yeah, he's been watching some of that Adesanya tape. He mixes it into this 3-piece combo with another kick and straight to the chest. Shayta loses basically all of her armor. Hey, let me find out you some fine shit under all that armor. You could do it a little bit more meat though. You too. Your legs were soft just now. I don't know why I gave her that accent. Man, you got me f***ed up. And stop looking so damn sleepy when you're boxing with me. You're right, my fault. This interaction is a lot cuter in the show. I'm just a nigga commentating though. Don't blame me. They both load up their big boy attacks and clash, but the craziest thing is they're enjoying it. The champ feels like he's about to lose, but he's fine with it because at least he's going out to a real one. But someone jumps in and ruins the 1v1. I mean, at least they didn't attack her, you know. They basically have to stop because the main enemy force caught up. Knowing this, Shayta stops fighting and retreats too. But hey, they at least exchange names before it's over. My boy is in there. So you might be wondering where the other guy who entered the underworld, Gabriel, is. Turns out he's out here about to slime out Roni. But she calls her back up just in time. Unfortunately though, that nigga has the hood manual etched in his brain. If you're about to slime someone, make sure you're not alone. And his whole squad pulls up out of the shadows. So Roni's getting worked, I'm not gonna lie. And when she's at a knife point, a bright light starts shining in the sky. Yes, these niggas start seeing their version of God. Why did she kind of look like? And she just waves her hand and drops everyone into a ravine. Then she drops Vasigo into one. Look, it is Asuna. Anyway, she gets straight to looking for Kirito and his body reacts to her immediately. He even starts crying. She steps outside to meet with whoever the leader is and Alice attacks her straight away. Get your popcorn, guys. I've been waiting for this. Alice asks what she's doing next to Kirito and Asuna lets her know that he actually belongs to her. Sorry Alice, but I can't lie, she's right. Berkudi interrupts their fight, but Alice says that Asuna can't see Kirito without her permission and this makes Asuna tight. But she accepts it. If that's me, I'm not letting nobody tell me I can't see my sweet husband Kirito. Pause. Asuna explains to them that the guys in here aren't real people and that there is actually a real world out there. And they honestly kind of just accepted it. Through the story Alice tells of her breaking the seal on her eye, Asuna realizes that there must be a mole amongst the rat staff, as having a code that stops the people of the underworld from thinking for themselves would go against their own objective. Asuna decides she will join the fight in order to help Alice reach the world end altar faster. Later that night, Asuna wants to see Kirito and Alice says that she'll only let her on the one condition that she tells her all about Kirito. Then they start flexing the amount of time they spent with each other. Even Roni and his mentor from way back when, Liena, joins in. Sometimes I can't stand this nigga. The next day, the Dark Territory army is trying to cross the ravine Asuna made, and they're doing this by crawling across a rope. Are we even sure this is the most practical way? Like, ain't you guys have magicians? Like, go magic across it. And who even gave them the command to do something this sickening? Yeah, makes sense. They're making it across, but the knights are really ruthless in this and murk them while they have their pants down. Hey champ, you can't complain. All is fair in love and war. In the real world, this tech bad guy sets up an open beta for the underworld as a game where the objective is to slime the knights and sends it to all the Americans. So effectively, they're bolstering the enemy numbers with real players. Yui alerts the rest of the gang about what's about to happen, and at the same time, Kikuoka receives a call. Somebody is here to help. It's my girl Sinon. I was waiting for this. Suga is there too. Yui tells them the only way to help is to convert their accounts from this trashy ass Alpham game into the underworld so they can fight with better equipment to make up the lack of numbers. Elizabeth is trying to convince all the friends they made up till now to convert to and help, but yeah, for the most part they're like no. And yeah, this is real life. Nobody's trying to lose all their stuff for Kirito. I don't know that nigga. Elizabeth gives this cool in-depth speech and everyone decides to forget basic reasoning and joins in. So all the American beta testers load in and they seem to be enjoying the hell out of themselves. Little do they know they're just straight murking the people of the underworld who have souls just like them. Asuna uses her terrain change ability to help, but this takes a toll on her body, so the Integrity Knights decide they'll step up and start fighting back. Champion decides enough of this and goes against his commands. He's gonna fight for himself, and because he's actually listening to himself first, his right eye gets that error 871. But he's a real trench baby. We've seen from that boxing stance, so he doesn't even blow it up now. He rips it right out of the socket. That's not even all. He decides he's about to jump across the ravine and not even think twice. He's just about to fail, but then his big bro, Real Life, flings his arm attached to this big ass rock at like Mach 5 so that Champ can use it as a launch pad. If this isn't a hunch chemistry, I don't know what is. I'm sure this was his guy from the sandbox. Asuna's getting jumped, but out of nowhere, someone comes in throwing straight haymakers and uppercuts, and yeah, who else would it be? He asks Asuna to use her ability to create a bridge, and in return, all of his men will come and assist them versus the American players. Alice runs off by herself, getting captured by Vecta, then Shayta and Champion reunite and decide they'll fight together to hold out the Red Army, while Asuna and the others try catch up to the Emperor. Oh, we're losing? Alright, I can send more in. Shit, how much can you send? Shit, like 20 mans. So yeah, this tech op says he has another wave of 20,000 enemies lined up ready to join the fight, and Vasco wants to go back, but this time he's on his main account. Another wave spawns in and Renly is about to sacrifice himself, but all of a sudden a great light appears in the sky. No, it can't be. That's my Shayna! And peep this entrance, she appears and starts raining down hell immediately. She don't even be using a bow for real, that's talent. She wipes out the ops and she comes out looking clean as hell. Finally, the top two are reunited. They're on my screen again one more time. In Kirito's absence, you guys are all I have left. I've never been so happy in my life. I forgot to add this part, but we got to give a minute to SAO openings. They deadass went like 8 for 8, especially the one from this season, which is actually my favorite in the entire series. And best believe I'm gonna hit that shit, because what you know about So my go Sinon wipes out the ops and after some greetings wants to see Kirito, and yeah, he's still a sorry sight. We all honestly just waiting for him to spin back, and don't you worry, it's gonna hit when he does. And Sinon, kisses Kirito on the cheek. Man, I hate this nigga. How you gonna have 3 people in the same carriage on your nuts? Oh yeah, Suga lands too, but her shit is not near as elegant as Sinon's. Then she willingly allows herself to be tied up by this pig. Basically the Dark Mage leader shows up again and she's trying to drain Suga's life energy doing this tentacle BS. This entire scene is bullshit. Sword Art Online, this isn't the first time, don't make me warn you again. The Dark Mage woman is talking mad crazy, telling the pig to grovel and walk on all fours if he wants Suga held back. The pig fights against his usual role, which is that of a bum, and his eye pops. Then he attacks the Dark Mage, but she still kind of punks him, I'm not gonna lie. She even got her boots dancing on his nose. Then Suga steps in and fries her, finally.
Let's go! I'm sick of her ass!
Not the alliance I expected, but hey, they got it. So Asuna and Kirito are caught up in the middle of a whole bunch of Red Army soldiers, amongst them being Vasco on his main account. But let's halt that story for now because we finally get to see Berkuli boxing for real. Berkuli decides he's gonna have to slime out this innocent dragon to catch up and literally attacks the pass where he's next to the dragon. No, we're not going to just gloss over that, are you crazy? And Vector's standing there smiling on some aura shit. Someone give the cameraman a raise. Bernoulli charges up and attacks, but Vector just flash steps that hoe. Bernoulli is actually a real scrapper and just keeps it pushing before following up with another attack. But yeah, once again, Vector stops it. He's not taking any damage, making my dog look like a bum. Turns out he has some BS ability that means he can't get hit by incarnation attacks. They trade blows again and Berkuli Loki has the upper hand until Vector starts his BS again and makes Bernoulli lose focus during battle. Turns out he can do this from range too. So Vector walks him down and then cuts his arm straight from the bone. However, between the music, the flashback to Quinella and the camera panning to Alice, I knew he's gonna have to keep boxing to the end, just like Asuna and friends who have been fighting thousands of soldiers back to back. And just when she's all drained, someone drops down from the sky clearing the surrounding opponents. And yeah, it's Klein. I wasn't familiar with his game. This guy was always a chump in my eyes. Then Nick Fury, Liz and Silica drop in too. Hell, even those guys Kirito was role-playing wars with back in Alfheim are here. I guess him wasting time instead of retrieving the love of his life was all for something in the end. They're out here chopping it up, talking about some we have Yui to thank, but that doesn't help my anti-Yui agenda, so we're moving on. They all join hands to fight back. In the real world, they notice Kirito's having spikes in his fluklight, and that happened when Sinon and Asuna, the top 2 girls, landed in the underworld. To summarize, they're piecing together Kirito's self-image again, using the people close to him. Probably. I don't know the technicalities to be honest. Every time they show this damn room, I just be dreading talking about it, because they're always speaking in hieroglyphics. Like nigga, what is an STL? Skipping all the jargon, they need to go to one of the cable ducts to work on Kirito's STL, but to do so they got to cross the armed military grade attackers on their ship, so they decide to sacrifice this clanker's life. RIP, clanker lives matter. I'm saying that just in case the robots take over, they'll know I'm a good guy. Higa decides he's a man for the job, as he's small enough to fit through the ducts, and then this other scrawny guy Yanai says he will go too, as he used to maintain that area. Back to the boxing though, and Berkuli's low-key keeping up with Vector. Sort of. Not really. Now Vector pops his ability, and Berkuli is honestly getting banged on, but whilst he is getting beaten black and blue, he is looking around for something. Yes, this man is looking for the place in the past that he was fighting Vector so he can attack it with his time-splitting sword. Unfortunately, Vector talks his shit. He realizes that he's up to no good and ooh, damn. You are messing up my dog's brand. He can't go out like this. Just as Berkuli's about to be finished off, in the background is Berkuli's dragon he told to stand by. Keep in mind this dragon has literally never disobeyed Berkuli either, but he can't watch his dog go out like this. And that shit must have shifted the whole dynamic of this battle because Berkuli got this freaky ass smile on his face now. His dragon takes the blow and delays Vector while Berkuli charges up his attack. And this dragon is really prime kawaii. He's not letting Vector pass easily. Berkuli has finished charging just in time and lets it rip at the still frame of Vector's past. And yeah, he turned that nigga gelato. Then we get a little scene of Berkuli in grasslands watching over Alice. So now we already know it's GG's for him. That nigga lost his mind, he's already reached Vinland. Alice finally wakes up, still don't even know what knocked her out to be honest, and finds Berkuli seated next to her. But he's not alive. To die, at least semi-upright. He's a real nigga for that, I'm not gonna lie. His soul is looking down at Alice, telling her not to cry, before being joined by his dragon and Quinella. Now, Quinella might be a piece of shit, but she's his piece of shit. So I can only dap him up for bagging a literal god and keeping it pushing. Then they ride into the sun before disappearing. And this man Berkuli had so much aura that his soul leaving was literally felt from across the dark territory. Shit was so prominent, it impregnated Fanatio. Oh, no, never mind, he was just cheating. No wonder he didn't bat an eye when Kirito had all them bad biddies fighting for him. Sidon catches up to Alice, but was too late and instructs her to keep on moving forward because Emperor Vecta, aka Gabriel, can technically spin the block on his main account whenever he wants. Back where the war originated is looking awfully bleak. They've been fighting for like 8 episodes straight. Champs Day 1 don't even got arms to fight anymore. And Peep Champ himself, his Achilles is gone. And I know his ass is not KD, there's no coming back. Shaita, who has always felt the urge to cut with her blade, finally realizes what she does not want to cut before her sword breaks. She tells her dragon that they fought well up to now and that they should rest up. Then she just straight up tells Champ that he's the one for her. Nah man, they even talking about how they would have had a great family together and the kids would have been super strong. Probably wondering why they're talking in past tense. Well yeah, that's why. And this reminded me of that one Dragon Ball movie when Goku and Vegeta had to fight all those metal coolers after literally getting beat senseless by one of them. If you haven't grasped it by now, I'll put it into words. It is over. These niggas are done for. Further ahead, these Alfheim niggas seem to be barely holding it down and doing okay for themselves. That is until Asuna peeps this aura farmer Vasago on the roof and Klein looking all shocked talking about it can't be, is that Poe? Am I meant to know who this is? Ah, I see, he's one of those laughing coffin bums. At this point, I have to applaud the fact that these niggas stayed relevant for 4 seasons and like 9 real life years. Behind them, there's a fresh batch of red soldiers, straight from Korea and China. Wrap this shit up. Now, Gabriel honestly wasted no time spinning the block. He was back in that game in like a smooth 4 minutes, ready to fade with Sinon. And she got some PTSD from him already because he used to give her work on Gun Gale on the low. That's all well and good, but tell me why he extends both his arms and simply closes a fist and he sends Sinon into cardiac arrest. Hello? Somebody do something about this. Back in the real world, Higa manages to make it to his destination along with that other guy due to the help of the distraction caused by the robot, W. Clanker. Vasco is giving a very convincing speech on some Malcolm X shit, trying to paint all the Japanese Alfheim guys as bad guys, and it honestly worked a little too easy and they get straight to the brawling. Asuna can't use her powers though and she's coughing up blood. There are no 6 bombs in this game, and look at Klein trying to be all motivational and clean with it. Talking about some, let us have some time to shine. My nigga, you guys are getting punked out there. So Higa and that one guy end up at the place they got to be, and Higa successfully accesses Kirito's STL. But bro over here must have pornos in that shit because he ups his switch immediately. So basically the reason he's doing all this is because he's Sugo's assisted. And if you don't know who that is, go watch my other SAO video. And if he successfully lets the Americans take over Project Alicization, he gets a dumb pay rise and a new job. Effectively, he's doing all this for the bag. So honestly, I respect him a little more. He's just like me. Anyway, the laptop falls over and he can't afford for Higa to get back to it, so he just lets that boy sing. Back in the underworld, this weirdo is sending Sinon into psychosis from straight PTSD, and he somehow got power to just make Sinon float towards him. Sinon, please fight back, do not make me watch this. But I don't know what type of shit he got, because she's not even like trying anymore. Now he's talking about tasting her soul before leaning in. Somebody warned this guy to stop acting a fool. I'm about to beat the brakes off the screen. But just as his grimy, probably slimy lips are about to touch hers, an electric shock intervenes coming from the pendant around her neck. And it's from Kirito when he had that one thing in his chest stopping the Gun Gale poison nigga from killing him. Now, I'm happy you're alive, Sinon, but I don't know what's more ridiculous, the fact Kirito is performing miracles from a homunculus state when he's not even in eye shot, or the fact that you decided to make a circle chain out of this. This gives Sinon motivation to start boxing again. Did this bit really get saved by a fluke piece of metal with poison juices all over it? I can't stand being the villain of this show. Sinon draws her bow, but then in real life turns into her 50 cal sniper Hecate, and that blows right through Gabriel's hand. Did she just snipe me? Hey, since you're not following the script anymore, then Gabriel just transforms his shit into a sniper too, and he's holding that with one hand. We cut back to the Alfheim guys and they're getting straight belt to ass. Both those one girls who Kirito saved get slimed. This one girl realizes it really will be over, so she tries to talk no jutsuing the red soldiers. But Vasago has his own talk no jutsu on Hall of Fame. This is boys versus men out there. We see Shaita and Champ again, they're ready to die together. But luckily, Suguha shows up and saves them. Thanks for that, you go up like half a tier. In the real world, Kikuoka realizes that there's a limiter placed on the AI, you know, the code 871 that turns their eye red. And with that, he realizes that the code 871 is actually a play of words of the other guy that's with Higa, who is Yanai. Put 2 and 2 together, they realize Higa is real life about to get murked. Higa asks why he just doesn't care that Kirito will be vegetableized if he doesn't help, and he, listen closely now, he says it's because he killed the administrator Quinella. Now, why is this a problem? Because Yanai over here fell in love with Quinella, or so he says, Admi, which is like, you know, short for administrator. And get this, she was even the one who seduced him, like, over the phone. So now he believes he has to go body for body and get back for killing her. By killing Higa, who didn't even kill her. I say, yo man, you never fail to amaze me. This guy got seduced by AI on the phone? Back at the Alfheim camp, it's over. They're about to slime Asuna, and Vasco tells him to stop. Elizabeth comes crying too, saying it's all my fault, and Asuna's comforting her, telling her it isn't her fault. No, this shit is most definitely her fault. Anyway, he tells them to surrender, and they begrudgingly listen. So yeah, Vasco reveals his true identity as someone from Laughing Coffin. Turns out he actually tipped off Kirito and Asuna's assault team way back then to where their hideout was, just so he can make Kirito an actual murderer. This level of hating is unheard of. I mean, you have to commend this at some stage. And then he commands to bring Kirito out of the carriage. Sorry to interrupt, but there's like a 20-second clip of Yui. I just want to let you guys know that this is her fault too. I just can't prove it yet. Roni stands in front of Kirito, but she just gets shifted with his weak ass attempt, man. I'm dead. Now Vasco is just taking the piss. He's toying with Kirito, who can't even defend himself. That is until someone sprints in from the crowd and saves Kirito. Except, who the fuck is that guy? And they are all shouting his name like we are meant to know him, because I know we only watched SAO for my shitty commentary, right? Well, if you don't know, this is AG. He's from the Ordinal Scale movie, so I guess, as I am a perfectionist, my work on this series is unfortunately or fortunately not over. Ordinal Scale soon. Probably. Anyway, this AG is still getting overpowered by Vasco, but that is until he gets backed up by his lead vocalist, or by girlfriend I guess, who be giving him power buffs, Yuna. And her voice is so angelic, she dispels Vasco's own talk no jutsu, since she's, you know, even low-key famous amongst the VR guys. AG is really out there moving. We gotta learn his story. They both jump up for a big clash, but that nigga AG comes out there with 0 arms. Like, how did this even happen? Vasco's weapon is a cleaver. Speaking of learning stories though, we have Vasco's backstory. Now, you know how I feel about backstories, but his is kinda cool. Not cool enough for me to not speedrun though. So his mother hated him and named him something along the lines of Devil Spawn, and she was only with his father for money. His father basically tells him to come to Japan and transplant his kidney into his half-brother's kidney, who happens to, you know, eerily resemble Kirito. Or he will stop giving money to Vasco's mother. So yes, this man real life went to one of his baby mom's cribs, took the kid, and put that kid's kidney into his own son that he actually cared about. Some of the people in this universe are genuinely insane, though because of this he develops a raging hatred towards Japanese people. Fast forward X years, he learns of the nerve gear, which at the time had already been banned, so he gets one from the black market, evades police, and logs in. Names himself Prince of Hell, somewhat synonymous with his real name, and shortens it to Poe. Also, he can kill the mostly Japanese player base inside SAO. Long story short, this man is clinically insane. Anyway, back to the underworld, Vasco calls AG a quote, dirty Japanese. He's been saying this like the whole time, by the way, I just haven't told you guys yet. He doesn't take disrespect though, and bites Vasco's neck before getting mopped and logged out that bitch. Now Vasco can't even maintain this bravado of being like some server admin to all the red soldiers, so he just starts mind controlling them, and then they start killing each other because I don't really know, it's SAO. We cut back to Sinon, and these two are going trick shot for trick shot, each one of their bullets colliding off each other. They just like Messi and Ronaldo. However, Gabriel's sniper got an extended mag, so he has 3 more bullets than Sinon. She fires her last shot, which is intercepted, and Gabriel lets one of his bullets fly, taking off her other leg. Now she's free falling with no defense, and up till now neither of these niggas have missed a shot, so it's over. He lets that sniper sing, and before you see the impact, we cut to Suguha, who's getting jumped too. But her account literally has unlimited regen, so I guess they were like pump faking, making me feel bad for her, though she does still feel pain, like this giant spear in her retina. She's tough, she'll be aight. Back to Sinon, who's facing imminent doom, but who am I kidding, this is SAO. The pendant on her neck intercepts live ammunition, and she realizes she can just like think up more bullets because, you know, this isn't Gun Gale, and yeah, she blows on Gabriel's right hand side. He realizes, I don't want the smoke right now, and leaves. Back to Higa, a wrench falls from above, dropped by Rinka, and this makes Yanai fall off the platform. Yeah, that nigga is dead. And Higa is a dog, so he says he'll be aight in front of the chicks. All now there's a hole in his arm. And then he takes the opportunity to ask Rinko out for food when this is all over. And he greens that shit. Hey, you got it. Higa started cooking some shit up using the 3 girls as a catalyst, and then Yujio's sword tells Kirito it's time to stop sleeping. We're inside Kirito's mind and he's living through all types of traumatic experiences. Vasco wants to trigger Kirito's return by sliming random people. Asuna wants to intervene but cannot physically stand anymore. That is until Yuki, a girl from an arc ages ago, gives her a little motivational push. And you already know about my lightning flash, man. She can really get grimy if it gets down to it. They clash and enter a stalemate of sorts. This like dead ass lasts like 8 minutes where they're just yapping until Asuna gets another friendship boost. I guess one of the perks is upgraded animation because this shit is looking clean as hell. Then we get about 2 minutes of belt to ass. Vasco gets hit with the meanest 7-hit combo into a wall. He even gets Swiss cheesed, so he realizes he's cooked and decides to talk no jutsu again, and all the bum red soldiers charge. In Kirito's mind, he's replaying the memory when his OG squad got murked, you know, the Christmas song girl, and this really messes him up mentally, man. You gotta feel for him because it's dead ass like every bad moment he's had. They even show him when his right hand man died. Just look what they have my man doing, bro. He real life trying to take out his own heart. And when it looks like it's not enough, his own mind materialized an image of Yu-Gi-Oh telling him to lock the fuck in. Now this is some slop, you know, but it's poetic slop. And yeah, I can feel it. The energy is shifting. The air is getting cold. That nigga is back. And he gets straight to popping that ultimate. Vasco breaks free and starts getting all excited. He tries to attack Asuna and Mark's god hand just stops him. Since when did vegetabilizing yourself make you Japan's #1 goalkeeper? Kirito proceeds to then walk Vasco down, spawn his arm back in and stand in front of all his fine shit without saying a word or looking back. Oh nah, he got experience in his aura farming shit, I cannot lie. This is different. Kirito gang, you can look at your wife. But enough of that, let's get to the boxing. Kirito extends his other freshly grown arm and his sword just flies straight towards him. It knows where home is. Now they're exchanging, but Vasco's slimy ass trips Kirito and ends up low-key overpowering him during this duel. Kirito's got to mash those buttons harder. And why is everyone just watching this too? Like, yo, jump in. This is not a chivalrous fight. And the whole time Vasco's rage baiting Kirito on the side. That is until everyone stops and notices Kirito's day one homeboy walk towards him and help push back Vasco. Yes, they real life let the dead nigga jump in before they helped themselves. We're not even going to question why he's here helping in spirits either. This is SAO, I need 2 hands to count the amount of times this shit has happened anyway. Yu-Gi-Oh's ghost joins Kirito to pop ult and his sword grows back to its original size. All the players are turned into particles when Kirito ults again, for rounding off that whole ordeal by changing it into his OG black swordsman fit, and oh my goodness, he got the bitches screaming. That fit is narratives approved. They resume boxing, but I forgot to mention, Kirito got 2 swords, and that nigga does not lose with 2 swords. Bip, bip, mink, mink, boom, donut nigga. Vasco now on the death's door vows to come after them in the real world, but Kirito's like, nah, miss me with all that, and turns his STL into that of the Giga Cedar tree, you know, the one from the start that needed like 1,000 generations to cut down. I don't even really know how he did this, but that's just aura. He turns to everyone he just saved, and you got no names like Roni sprinting towards him. Like there is not a cue to this shit. This is what got Yui the cold shoulder for me. I don't want to see this again. But yeah, he reunites with Asuna, they kiss, he princess carries her and begins flying towards one of the many other girls in love with him. They should have killed this nigga. In the real world, the bad tech nerd was instructed to make the time in the underworld go to its limit, but to do so, you need a key. So he just blows down the keyhole. And now Kirito and the gang have 15 minutes to finish up this whole operation. Or 200 years will have passed in like 1 real life minute. Effectively, they got to go quick. Kikoka informs Kirito of this from the outside, and then he and Higa plan to go down back to the cable duct so they can disengage them from the outside. Speaking of Alice, she successfully reaches her destination but is still in pursuit by Gabriel. She tells her dragons to go find a husband and wife and live happily, but they in fact have other ideas. They turn around and start Dragon Balls at Gabriel, even if it's hurting them. But I don't even know, man. He doesn't even be taking damage for real and stops them with his one hand before flying them out the sky. He's about to fully murk them, but then you guessed it, Kirito stands in his way. Honestly, this stance just kind of made me laugh. Like, who is he feeling like? Anyway, Kirito just turns the 2 dragons into eggs. I'm no longer surprised by anything in this anime, and Asuna built a staircase up to the world's end altar's entrance. And then she tells Alice that they should just trust in their man and start heading there. Gabriel and Kirito start talking, and Gabriel's voice really gets people questioning their entire existences. Luckily for Kirito though, he has his brother deep in his mind reminding him that he is that nigga and cannot let some bum corrupt his mind. And this dispels Gabriel's voodoo shit. Hey bro, who are you? That don't matter nigga. Put the paws up. I bet. Kirito gets his Alfheim wings back, which are honestly one of like the only things good to come out of that part of the series. They immediately get to fading, and Kirito's making all sorts of shots he has never worked on. And this went a little too easily, got Gabriel looking like a bum. That is until we realize he isn't even actually getting hurt, and instead he is just using some sort of dark matter. And he's talking about some, hey bro, you got 3 minutes to wrap this up, I got souls to eat. Then transforms his flying monster into wings. Yeah, he stole this whole move right from Kirito's bag. A true chain snatch. And hey, Gabriel's power got a little swaz to it. They're trading blows while flying, but eventually Kirito gets caught clean. Well, honestly, this is a little more than clean. My boy doesn't have a lower half anymore. Gabriel isn't done yet though, and real life begins evolving to a further stage, and that's when it finally sinks in for Kirito that he deadass might have to stay here for 200 years. This is the big leagues. Kirito feels like this is what he really wanted, but Yu-Gi-Oh reminds him that he has a real life outside of this gaming shit and should stop talking crazy. Gabriel switches him down and is about to feast on his soul, but Kirito's baiting him the whole time and he's about to unleash his double DPS ultimate. He freezes him in place, and when he starts with his other sword, he turns the entire underworld into the night sky. Hey, watch out making my girl Sinon look like a bum. Anyway, the whole underworld begins setting their powers to him on some spirit bomb timing. They even got the op sending him power. He is in his Martin Luther King bag. Gabriel break out of the ice, but it's low-key already too late. Kirito's loading in the meanest starburst stream mankind has ever seen. This shit even regrows limbs, and all the dead homies are giving him tips like he's the Avatar. Look, he's never even met this nigga. Then that shit lands and he is cooking Gabriel. Ooh, no. He stopped his music. But wait, coming downhill for the putback, it's huge. Oh my god. Yeah, you should have expected that, honestly. Anyway, by the power of the dead homies, Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito boom on Gabriel, thus saving the day. But they low-key took too long. Alice is able to log out, but Kirito is still in the underworld when the world speed changes. So now he's gonna have to spend the next 200 in-game years alone. However, there is a unanimous best girl for Kirito amongst us. Yes, Asuna stayed with Kirito. This is really poetic, man. I could cry. I mean, they thought they were going to die together once before, so, you know, what's a measly 200 years, am I right? Well, all that's left as of now is the issues in the real world, which are, well, actual issues. And honestly, where the bulk of the bullshit in the show begins. There's no surprises on my end, I have the experience. So after taking out Alice's light cube, which was the entire objective, they still have like to, I don't know, code Asuna and Kirito out of the game or something. Again, most of the real world things are just harder to understand than they should be. Hikoka is carrying Higa down the cable duct so he can access the laptop to do so. They open up the main door as a decoy, and now one tech bad guy instructs all his men to go there while he and this bald dude go check out the cable duct. They pull up and see that their rat is literally lifeless on the ground. Why is nobody, you know, like at least pretending to be shocked? Then they start getting blicked down by Kikoka from the high ground. Kikoka gets hit in the vest, but on the flip side, this bald guy just got executed. This is literally a body, Kikoka-san. Why aren't they shocked? Even you, tech nigga, this is literally your man's. So he pulls up on his captain to get some instructions. Unfortunately though, Gabriel is having some one-on-one chat with a girl he murdered 25 years ago, who is now actively bringing him. Long story short, that nigga is dead. Dead. Finally, a normal reaction. And check his mans too. Look what Kirito did to these two, oh my goodness. They realize that they're not going to be able to get Alice's light cube back, so they just decide to blow up the entire ship and plant a bomb in the engine room. They set enough time on the bomb to detonate it after escape, so Kikoka's security decides he'll be the hero of today's story and go down there to remove it himself. Only issue is the room is as hot as a boiler right now. But just look at the buzzcut, he seems tough as nails. He even says that this will be no different than just a sauna to him. Now Kikuoka just caught his first body, and from what I've heard, that shit makes you feel like Superman. He even decides he'll go down to the reactor too. The security dude is doing some James Bond shit, scanning the room, but he turns the corner and this guy has already up pole and starts making his AR sing like Mariah. Though he manages to escape with only a leg shot. Then right after, one of the robots they were working on pulls up. This robot is being controlled by Akihiko. Yes, the creator of SAO, Akihiko, who is, you know, not alive. This is even like the second time he's sort of come back to life too. He even got the assistant he was cracking tearing up. They're opening serious corn at the robot. He's leaking oil and shit. But Kikoka blitzes the guy and catches his second body. Akihiko robot opens up the reactor's door, but his body has taken too much damage and can no longer move. You know how this goes by now. Rinko shot some words of encouragement such as, "You're Heathcliff, right? And I know I didn't let a lame crack so lock in." And that's all it took for this guy who died on like 3 separate occasions to come back again in full overdrive. A robot, by the way, and rip the bomb off the engine, thus saving the day. I'm not even going to celebrate at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if Kirito just fixed himself and tore the damn thing off himself. And yeah, Vasco's body's missing along with the Akihiko robot. I don't really care about them enough to add any emotion to this part, so moving on. So who's going to explain to me what exactly this is? Oh right, that's my job. Well, Alice is a robot who's basically a human, so much so that you physically cannot tell she's a robot, and now she's in the real world. She low-key got that shit on during this interview, I cannot lie. Anyway, they're getting political in there and start talking about, you know, robot rights. What's she saying, honestly? I say we smelt her. Hey, that's just me though, I watched Age of Ultron. The conclusion is some half-baked, we will see. And it goes to Kikoku, who basically had to change his whole identity and fake his death. Now he's living it up in Cancun. Suddenly Alice senses Kirito's return or something and walks out of the interview. She runs up in there and starts holding Kirito, who just woke up from 200 years in the underworld. She ain't even say hi to Asuna. Fast forward a little bit and Kirito and Asuna seem to be having a healthy recovery because they had their memory of 200 years wiped, since a normal human brain cannot store 300 years of memory. But they know all of it happened, so it's a little sad for them. Anyway, rightfully so, the government want to shut down the whole underworld project, but Kikoku and Kirito are like Batman and Robin and just enact their own justice, so that shit probably won't even happen. Okay, here's where my brain starts overheating. Basically, Higa didn't actually delete Kirito's original Fluctlight and copied it, because he's technically the first human to live 200 years and not have their brain get deep fried. Apparently this Kirito accounted for this and decided that if he was copied, he'd fight for only the underworld because he's the quote protector of this world. He's trying to make the underworld independent from the real world, since they could just decide to blow that whole bitch up if they wanted to. And he's talking about how they will need Akihiko Kayaba's help. What are we even saying? This guy has died 6 times. On the flip side, Kirito's still crying himself to sleep because his memories of Yu-Gi-Oh remain. That love runs deep. The next day, Alice is missing Kirito, so she decides to deliver herself in a parcel to him. They're chopping it up, getting awfully close considering Kirito's married. They spar, but during one of the exchanges, Alice headbutts Kirito. Except she's literally made from carbon and steel, so Kirito gets packed in. She realizes she can live in this world and look forward in this heartfelt moment. Yada yada yada. She meets Kirito's parents. His dad tells him he should probably stop trying to die every season. Then Alice shows up in Kirito's room while he's sleeping, and she's trying to show out for him. I know her gimmick, but her heart doesn't beat like that and she gets all flustered. Truthfully, she was in there because she got a message. They can't understand it, so they call in Yui to do it. I don't know why she was pretending like she was sleeping though. They're literally artificial intelligence. The message is from Higa, and they realize it's code for an IP address that allows them to go to the underworld one more time. They pull up on Rinko and send themselves into the underworld. Just this time, they wake up floating in space. They see 2 spaceships and niggas are getting pursued by whatever this is. And the pilots are Roni and Tease. What the hell happened in here? Why are these 2 even still alive? Maybe it isn't even them because they don't even remember Kirito, who by the way just nukes the monster along with Asuna and Alice. Never mind. They saw those 2 swords and switched up. They know. And with that, we're caught up to date with SAO. I honestly don't have closing thoughts on the season. It was entertaining if anything. I genuinely don't have a clue what they could be cooking up in the next part of SAO. It'll probably be some bullshit. Hey, just make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It's been Narratives. Peace.